I've had a number of opportunities to visit the Chandeleurs. It's one of my favorite places in coastal Louisiana. To come up behind them in the summer when the wind's blowing from the southeast, it was always shallow. These crystal clear waters with turtle grass or eelgrass, whatever you call it. And you could see the back fins of redfish swimming along.
So the beaches out there are flat as a board, filled with shells. And the sand in Chandeleur is different. The sand is different. The shells, the beaches itself are different. There are no dunes on the Chandeleur.
As a kid growing up, just thinking of islands and pirates' treasures and things like that, it was really exciting. So when I first went to the Chandeleurs, it was, a dream come true to see that archipelago that arced around like a crescent moon. Just the abundance of shells because nobody's out there. All broken, but, really neat in color. It was a lot of black and white, like the little clams and mussel-type shaped shells would be black and white tiger stripe. That's some of my first impressions.
The grass beds were amazing. Widgeon grass, eelgrass, all that business. Everything on the west side of the island, inside. There wasn't a whole lot of vegetation up on the island itself. The typical Bear Island stuff, baccharis and sea rocket and sea pennywort and all those pioneer plants out there. And when I first went there, the pier was still there, although it was in poor repair. The way everybody went to the Chandeleurs, what I've known of is the fishing and of course all the wildlife, but the grass beds are just as amazingly reproductive an area as there is, just full of life. You walk through them and there's critters scattering in every direction. Crab, shrimp, but the speckled trout and the redfish and all that are what the people were chasing, flounder. So those beds, they ran the whole length. There's still some patches of them, but nothing like it. Now, wade fish, the grass beds is the traditional thing. And that's big Mississippi money. The Chandeleur boats, we always call them, are these big converted shrimp boats, mostly with a bunch of little boats stacked on top. They go out there and camp, and the guys take the little boats and fish the grass beds. It's been going on for a long time over there. I know some of those boats come out of the teens and 20s.
When I was working on my Gulf Coast book, I went out for a 4-day trip with Fish and Wildlife people and just really enjoyed it. We counted 20,000 sandwich terns, another few thousand royal terns, black skimmers. It's amazing, the wildlife. The pelicans were just coming back then, and seagulls, of course. Laughing gulls were everywhere. A few egrets and herons. We saw a few raccoon tracks, although the islands were fairly small and pretty far from the mainland. Raccoons could make it out there. Sunsets has always been one of my favorite items to photograph. It's another reason to be out in the Chandeleurs. In fact, one of my favorite sunsets there was two guys fishing silhouetted in a small plateau behind the island with the sun just blaring over them as they were fishing. On islands like that, you can see the sunrise and sunset without trees and without mountains and without buildings to block it out. So it's really a perfect place for photography. And lighthouses, too. I have pictures of lighthouses all over the world. And I have a few pictures of that Chandeleur light in my files. It means a lot to me because it was kind of a mystery, just out there by itself on islands that once headed up one of the Mississippi deltas and now just a little archipelago. Really, really fond memories of seeing that both from the land and the air.